Telegraph.
You mentioned there the sort of the speed of Myles' rise. Yeah, that's obviously extraordinary. Also, he's done it in a position that he's not actually played before, like playing left back, which feels even more remarkable, really. What was it that made you think that he should be a left back, having come through the academy as a midfielder?
Very intelligent, very willing, and very physical. You have those three ingredients, and you have a personality that you will go through bricks. It can happen, and that's Myles. That's why he's done it.
Do you think long term he might return to that midfield thing? Is that like you were talking about Ethan, for example, maybe being number 9 one day?
Yeah.
When you map out Myles' long-term career, where do you see it playing?
He can do as a 6 and as an 8 as well. Yeah. I think it would depend a lot in the relationships and the chemistry with other players, how this evolves as well within the team. I think football and which direction it goes, what demands from certain positions as well. But he's certainly a player that can play in those 3 positions.
Has the speed of his development and also Ethan's changed the kind of long-term squad planning? Because obviously you wouldn't know before the summer really just how ready they were. Maybe if you're planning ahead for 2 or 3 windows, do you now look at it differently because of these 2 guys?
Yeah, but those modifications in the squad plan are always very positive, because when you predict the amount of minutes that those players were going to play this season, it was going to be a super low number, like a tier 3, tier 4 players, and suddenly they start to play some very impressive numbers. So you have to rethink. I think it's something, again, as I said, super positive, because you already have in-house, you don't have to recruit. So really good.
Neil?
Yeah, can I just ask one more Myles question before Chelsea? One of the striking things about this selection is that Tuchel's picked this squad. His job is to win the World Cup in 15 months' time. This isn't a development squad. This isn't like for 4 or 5 years' time. So what does that say about Myles' temperament and the way he's handled the big games so far? But the England coach thinks he's ready for this mission, this 15-month mission, if you like.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what he's thinking, but for sure, with the demands that you have in the national team, is to win. And if he believes that Myles can help him, that's the story. That's great.
But just at the age he is, I just think it's pretty unusual to have that backing from a manager that's got this mission as well. Repeat myself, it's not long-term planning. No. He's there to make an immediate impact.
Yeah, it's very impressive, but I think that's what Myles transmits, that willingness to win, that willingness to compete at any level against any opposition, regardless of his age. So probably that's a big factor.
Just on Sunday's game, do you see Chelsea now as contenders for the runners-up spot for 2nd place? And how important is finishing 2nd? If you're going to qualify for the Champions League, does it make any difference if you're 2nd, 3rd or 4th?
Well, it does, but if they are contenders, I think from the moment I wasn't playing pre-season and understanding how Enzo works and the talent that they have in the squad, in my opinion, they were contenders to even win it from the beginning, because they have so much there that the moment that everything glides together and they find that connection, energy and consistency, I think they can compete with any team.
How many teams do you think potentially could finish 2nd or in this mix for this position now?
A lot. I mean, there is 10 games to go, so it's still a lot of variation, a lot of games between us, a lot of difficult games. So it's a lot of teams still involved, yeah.
Isan?
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Of course, only a few months ago, Myles was on the Arsenal bench trying to make his way into the first team, and now he's pretty much a regular. At what point, was there a moment at all where you thought this kid's going to be a big star or a big feature this season? Because it's very unusual to, especially at 18, to progress so quickly.
No, I think it goes gradually. Obviously, you see the talent, you see how they react to certain stimulus or certain challenges, and then you start to think, we've got a player here, but then you have to do it. I was very impressed with him in the States when he came on, for example, against Liverpool as a sub, and we started to compete against those guys in the front line, and I was like, we have a player here. And then Myles has been consistency. His habit is the way he trains every single day, giving you the right reasons all the time to consider him. And then the best way to talk is on the pitch for any player. Go on the pitch, do the talking, and compete and show how good you are and how good you are for the team, especially. And he's done it.
Arsenal, of course, suffered many injuries this season. Do you sometimes sit there and think, what could have happened if Myles and Ethan didn't step up to the way that they've actually stepped up? Because one thing filling the position, but it's another thing to perform as they've done.
Yeah. We don't know. For sure, we would have played with 11 players. Maybe we'll discover another option. Last year, when we have it, Jakub played there. and we sustained the level for many months as well, which it was good. And this season it was their turn.
Jordan?
Okay. And do you see some similarities in terms of Enzo's first year at Chelsea and he's had ups and downs, and your also early years at Arsenal where you were trying to find the right form? It's really difficult, but
No.
you can make progress.
Similarities?
Yeah.
No. None.
No similarities.
No. What Chelsea's done in the last 15 years, the squad that they have, everything where they were, I don't think there are many similarities there. No.
Do you think he's been under almost more pressure because of the environment at Chelsea? You have to win now rather than...
I don't know. What I can tell you is he's a magnificent coach. And it's very clear what he wants to do. I like it because he's been bold and he's been very clear what he wants to do it, how he does it, and I really like the way his team plays.
And just on Bukayo, can you give us a sense of what the next week is going to look like? Will he be on the grass with a ball at his feet? Will he be just running, or kind of what are the steps for next week?
Yeah, he's going to be here, hopefully more with the ball on his feet than in his hand. So that will mean that he's passing the ball and shooting and running and everything. So he's done quite a lot already on the pitch. Everything on his own, that's true. So the next is to reintegrate with people around him, with players around him, and more competitive training session, and see how he copes with that.
And just finally, and we understand that Myles has been learning Spanish. Have you had any conversations? Is it so you can't understand?
He's very curious. I know he's been doing that. I think he's on all the academic parts, very hands on it, and his family as well, which is great because he's still very young.
Ed?
Hi, Mikel. Just on Ben White, Thomas Tuchel said that he would love to be back in the England squad. Have you sensed a weight sort of lifted around him now that this has kind of resolved the issues that he had before?
Yes, but I don't know. But whatever the outcome is, what I want is Ben to be happy, that he feels fulfilled and he really feels his next decision. And knowing Ben, his influence is not going to be, his decision is not going to be influenced by somebody else. He really needs to feel it. And if they found that chemistry between Thomas and him, that's great. If he wants to come and Thomas wants him, great, because I think he has the level and certainly the potential in his career to achieve big things with the national team.
Thanks. And just on Ethan, obviously he's in the under-21 squad. What are your views on that part of development in international football? England's under-21 squad's got some really big names in it. They're playing France and Portugal. Is that quite a good way for him to develop away a little bit from the spotlight? No,
it's a big step. I mean, he's 17 years old and he's playing with the under-21s with all the names that they have in the team. I spoke to Lee this morning and glad that he's as well his coach, because I know him very well since we played together many years. So great pathway and development for him and great experience for him.
Okay.
What do you say to Lee about, talk about positioning or something like that?
No, just about he was going to select him and I know him. It's a phenomenal coach as a person, unique. So I know that he's going to really look after him. He's going to push him in the right way, and he's going to hear a different coach with different ideas. And this is always so good for any young player.
Okay, last couple now. Firstly, Gary from the Times.
Can you said about finishing second is important. Why is it important? Is it pride? Is it finances?
Sorry, I missed the
You said about finishing second is important. Why is it important? As opposed to fourth, is it pride? Is it finances?
Because I prefer to finish first and second and third and fourth, and if you cannot be the best, be the second best at least. That's for sure.
You were saying a few months ago how you finish the season will depend on what you would have this summer, maybe financially. Is that effectively qualifying for the Champions League?
Well, it's not only in the financial part as well. It's what we've done and when we measure and understand what the team is done and the performances that we had within the resources that we had in each time on the season, we're going to really have to think hard to understand, okay, what is missing, what is really working, and how we're going to now make the next step. Very important.
If you strip away the result, if you strip away the resources you didn't have, and if everything was at baseline level, would you then be above where you should be relative? Because like you say, you haven't had the resources. We don't know.
Nobody knows.
Okay, finally we go to John.
Ben White coming back to England is controversial with some people simply because he seemed to have turned his back on his country. how can you, as his club manager, deal with this storm, this pressure?
I know. The just opinion I can take was because I was very involved in the moment that happened, and I know how Ben felt, and that was for me very, very clear that the reason why he made that decision, how I was feeling about it, and how struggling he was. So certainly it wasn't about that. It was about being the opposite, just facing the situation and say, I cannot handle with it now, and I'm not the best person to represent that the country in the way I feel right now. So for me, it was completely the opposite. I think not a lot of people would do. What a lot of people would do is hide in that context, in that environment, and let time go and nobody talk about it. What he did, in my opinion, was very brave, and not a lot of people would have done it.
So Stuart Pearce said that if somebody lets you down once, they'll let you down again. So you're saying that it's completely misunderstanding what happened?
For what I understand, the reasons, it wasn't about letting somebody down. It was just telling somebody, I don't want to let you down, and this is the way I feel. I think it's very difficult for me to give you what you need. So I think it was completely different.
Okay, guys, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.